Deb. Boom. Ooh, I say, nothing wrong with a bit of scatting on a Monday afternoon. Here we are, get out and grow with the Happy Homesteaders, Anna and Johnny Devon. How are you, Anna?
Yeah, I'm doing very good, thank you. Yes, it's been fairly busy week, and yes, I was in Teignmouth for the weekend, so had something pretty much every day last week, and had a bit of fun and games with the internet, of course, last week as well. But that seems to have subsided, which is good. So.
Was it a week ago? We haven't had a chat with John, have we, since then? Because we were going to have our inner chamber meeting. We have the first Monday of every month. We have a team meeting, don't we, to discuss how the show's going and to think about what we might do. And of course, a great disaster befell the not the internet exactly, but a vast part of it in the form of social media, right? And Instagram and WhatsApp, the Facebook group, really. And Anna and I took to the airwaves to give a blow-by-blow account of what was going on. And we made friends with a few new strangers who said, you're the only people doing decent coverage of this on the internet tonight. So that was great. And sorry, John, I think we gave you a bit of a surprise at one point, didn't we? How are you this evening, John?
Yeah, not too bad. Yeah, good enough, actually. I've had a day went to Teignmouth for the morning today, and had a nice walk on Dartmoor on Saturday at the weekend. So yeah, beautiful. Quite a good weekend. I just had a day at home yesterday, but pretty nice weekend all round, really.
John
is talking about South Devon normal. Sorry,
no, I was just saying you were talking about South Devon there, an absolutely beautiful part of the world, of this planet. And yeah, Dartmoor, fantastic up there. And I know some of you here tonight are into a bit of the old geocaching. The only geocaching I've ever done, and quite a complete surprise to me while I was out and about, was on Dartmoor, where John mentioned just then. Some lovely places to walk up on Dartmoor. Those granite rocks, excuse me, are quite amazing up there. So, John, we threw a bit of a spanner in the works, didn't we? Or the internet did, Facebook group did. And suddenly we were on air. And I think we took you by surprise a bit there, mate. So sorry for any shocks and surprises last week.
Oh, no, it's fine. I mean, I just assumed that we wouldn't be doing it, but I thought I should check anyway. And then I was like, oh, we're doing it, are we? And then I was my brain wasn't in the right place by that point. So I thought, well, I'm probably just going to not be really at the point where I'm going to be able to make a decent sort of talk out of this. So just one of those, really.
Yeah, and it all righted itself in the end, which is fantastic. Okay, well, I'm glad to hear you're both well. How is the temperature? How's the weather over there in the United Kingdom?
It hasn't been too bad here so far. It's about 16, about 16 degrees at the minute. So it's fairly mildish, and haven't seen any rain so far. So it's been a sort of fairly decent weekend, and not too bad. I don't know what it's like for the week, but full of surprises, I'm sure. So we shall see in due course.
Yes, that's a pretty good philosophy to have, I think, all over the place in the UK come autumn and winter. 28 degrees, would you believe? It says here. I mean, it certainly has been that earlier on today, and it's been a bit of a scorcher here on the Silver Coast of Portugal this afternoon. So excellent gardening weather, and the sort of weather that brought the old processionary caterpillars out. And I've got a little video I made of them this morning. First time I've seen them. Which prompted you to think of a new feature idea. And I think, John, you've got one as well. So should we go with yours first, Anna? When I was talking about pests, you had a great idea.
I think it was. I'm just trying to remember what it was now. I was trying to think of it sort of people sort of if they need any help on dealing with any particular pests or anything like that, or identifying or anything like that, or yes, if there's any plant damage or anything, we can try and work out what might have caused it, possibly. But
excellent. And we thought we might have a bit of a top 10, top 20 even of the best of the pests, if there is such a thing. So great idea, Anna. Get your ideas in for the worst of the pests, and actually there are best of the pests, aren't they? Because some pests, depends which way you look at it. Some pests are actually quite helpful if they're in the right place. But like weeds, a weed is just a plant in the wrong place, isn't it? So I think pests can Some pests are just downright pesky and always in the wrong place, but others can be helpful, of course. They must be part of the system somewhere, you would have thought, wouldn't you? And John, gardening gaffs, what's that all about?
Well, I thought, because sometimes gaff is obviously another word for a mistake, but I thought, I can't remember when I came up with, it might have been yesterday I came up with this idea, but I thought it might be quite a good idea to talk about mistakes people make while gardening and maybe have people share some of them, because maybe this could help people to be safer in the garden, and also potentially it could be a bit of a laugh as well, sort of I fell in the pond or something like this, so we could have a mix of keeping people safe and making people laugh, which is great. I think that's a really good combination.
Good bit of medicine. Good bit of medicine. Being in the garden's great medicine. Having a laugh. So a bit of a laugh with the gaff. I think laughs and gaffs from the garden. If you have anything to share, have you actually trod on a rake? I haven't trodden on a rake, but I have been on a site when I was doing a bit of landscaping once with a couple of buddies. One of my colleagues stepped on a rake, and I happened to be standing over it at the time. Funny for them, not so funny for me. A classic comedy slapstick moment, but I wasn't able to see the funny side for quite some time, I have to say to you. So lots of lovely people here tonight, from our community. Paul, Louise, Lottie, good evening to you. Boa tarde a todos. Hello, Louise. Louise e meu pai. It's Morris is here. Morris está aqui. So good evening to you, Morris. Great to have your company again on the gardening Q&A. Lee will be with us presently. Stephen Wells, of course. What a chap. What a fantastic attendance rate, Stephen. Thank you so much for being here on such a regular basis, and of course on the morning show as well. Really appreciate it. Matty too. Hola, boa tarde, and Thunder. All three of you. Fine, distinguished, excellent gentlemen who really are a credit to this community. We did some geocaching, says Thunder. Okay, so there you go. Geocaching. Is geocaching a thing in Portugal? Says John, asks John. So Thunder, can you let maybe give us a little bit of maybe some links, or if you can be bothered, and tell us a bit more about your experience of geocaching in Portugal. So something that John recognizes, and we need to find out about how strong it is here. And whatever other countries you are tuned in from this evening, is Lee, what's that? Is Key Kate, or what's up with Hum? I think that was typed. I think that is Lee Late, or what's up with him. He has been held up a little bit, but we quite like with what's up with Hum, don't we? Gardenistas. That's a nice way of referring to everybody here, the gardenistas. Good evening to you, Victoria. How soon before you're doing a little bit of gardening on your balcony or whatever space? I think you probably are a green-thumbed sort of person. Lee, not Key, fat finger syndrome. Further proving it there, missing out the E on the old syndrome there. But we got the gist of that, Matty. Victoria, the DHL hostage is over, I saw on FB. I've had a bit of a FedEx wrangle today. They've been trying to get in touch with me over a book that's been sent to me. I think the book's worth 25, and the total bill for it to bring it into Portugal is now 110 euros or dollars. What a mess. Procession caterpillars, well spotted, Louise. And there it is again. I've got the video to show you in just a moment. That's the front of the queue. They were doing the old caterpillar conga right underneath my foot as I was walking the dogs this morning. I know they can be very, very dangerous to dogs and children. Quite lethal, these little fellas, and they look like a snake as they were doing their caterpillar conga out from some pine trees where they like to live, and I had to move the dogs hastily around them, and I'll show you the video of that in just a moment. Louise, thank you. While we're talking to you, look at your lovely chili plants there, presuming they are beautifully irrigated there, and a recent, if not current crop to show and share with us there. Mark also here this evening. Good evening all. Pests, okay, excellent. I think you should take this, Anna, given that you were thinking of doing the old pest countdown.
Yeah, yes, I see. Baby snails, 2 to 3 millimeters in size, are eating bell peppers.
Oh, okay.
So I've seen a few of the tiny ones, but yes, they. I was going to say they particularly like wet weather conditions as well. So do keep an eye out for those if it is wet weather around.
People like eating them over here, catacoish. When I think of people eating snails, I think of the big ones. But Portuguese people quite like the little baby snails as well. So maybe, Louise, there's a little business idea you could have on your hands there. Yes, Lee, late. Face palm for my typing tonight. Don't worry, Matty. Calma, tranquilo. We knew what you meant. I've been seeking caches for almost 20 years. Check him out. I have more finds in Portugal than any other country. So to answer you, John, looking pretty good, the old geocaching here in Portugal. And yes, Thunder, of course, when we met up in Lisbon, found, I think, my boy did a bit of geocaching just right where we were meeting, right, Thunder, had a really lucky streak. I think 2 or 3 finds just within a few 100 meters of us. It was quite exciting for us that day. Hi, all, just logged in, just came out of the garden. We had a pest. Lots of very small eggs on the underside of some of the small apple trees. We cut them all out. Do you know what they are, Eric? Good evening to you. Great to have you here, Eric. This evening on the gardening Q&A. The head gardener is not here at the moment, and I can take down the picture of the chilies for the time being. Chili peppers there. And I think I'm going to spin in the processionary caterpillar video as we consider best of the pests and peskiest of the pests right now. Well, bon dia, just out for a walk with the dogs, and look what I found. Look down beneath my feet. I nearly jumped because there's a processionary caterpillar. And if we look, you can see all of it going, or can you? Yeah, can you see that line there? That's all of it there. Quite amazing. So there's the front, the guy at the front. And I've never seen one of these before in Portugal, but a little bit hesitant because they're not great for dogs, but you can just about make that line out, and I would say it's over 1 meter long. This guy, this procession is over 1 meter long, and just making his way. I don't know, why did the processionary caterpillars cross the road? The big question that remains this morning. John, that has to be one for you, right? Why did the processionary caterpillar cross the road? You don't have to answer that right now, but I think something did flash across your mindscape.
Yes, maybe. I mean, the best I can think of now is to carry on the procession, but that's a bit dull, isn't it? I think.
Not your best work, but that's okay for starters. It's okay for starters. So we'll come back to that. Why did, and that's open to everybody, of course. Why did the processionary caterpillars cross the road? They may have been stuck to the chickens.
To process the Green Cross code.
And it rhymes as well. You can't beat that so far, anyway. So sounds like mites or aphids, the little eggs underneath the apple tree leaves there. Could it be, says Louise, coddle moth eggs? Quite a few names here, Anna, for the list of pests so far. Les is here. Les, in the US, we have a plethora of plant, seed, and tree suppliers to order from online. What are some of the companies people order from in Portugal? And in the absence of the head gardener, I think Louise might be able to help with that. Do you mind, Louise, answering Les's question there? And Eric, no idea what they are. Very small white eggs, not the caterpillars of butterfly ones. Oh, like in the Hungry Caterpillar book that we've all read, right? Hundreds of them, like 1 to 2 millimeters in size. We burned them. No mercy. Kill them with fire. Is what happened there, I think. Did you take any pictures? So too late. I think it's just a pile of ashes. If Eric does a picture now, it'll just be a smouldering pile. Easy to help the 99 blind ones to the other side. There we go. Oh, my word. There we go. Why did the processionary caterpillars cross the road? Because the one in front was helping the partially sighted ones behind him. How lovely. Para chegar ao outro lado. What's that? Enough of the jokes already, maybe. Procession caterpillars. If you knock one of the middle ones out of the chain, it will stop, then join up, and the lone one will rejoin later. Isn't that incredible? And if you listen really closely, you can hear them going... That's actually what processionary caterpillars sing. Isn't that right, Anna? From your study of horticulture. Yes. No. Lee is here, or the top of his head is anyway. Oh, there he is. Hello, Lee.
Good evening.
Good evening. How are you, sir? Hello, boa tarde.
Oh, what's that? Knackered.
You're right, mate. Knackered. It's that time of year, isn't it? Are you feeling a bit autumnal yourself right now?
Yeah, it's lovely, isn't it?
Busy
Beautiful.
summer. Yeah, the nights are coming in, and it's all right to work a little less hard than you have been all summer.
You're
Lee.
joking.
All right, it's time to work even harder, Lee. Go on, keep going. Carry on. All right.
I've got
Okay.
more work to fit to a shorter time period at the moment because it's getting darker early.
Oh, I see. There's me thinking you can take your foot off the gas, and actually you got a shorter window of work because of the daylight amount of daylight.
Yep.
Okay, and presumably a man of your caliber is also getting more and more work as your reputation gets around the capital and the country. So a good problem to have, though, presumably.
It is picking up again. Yeah. I'm not complaining.
All right, nice one.
I've been on a good tree job today. I'm still on a good tree job. I'm not finished it yet.
Oh, I see. Tell us what you've been up to. Oh, no, he's gone. Whoops. Looked at the tree and then he was gone. Okay, so we can't get a picture of these little eggs from Eric. It's too late. They're all in heaven now. Oh. And para chegar al otro lado is to get to the other side. The classic line there. Les, sorry, no idea. I prefer to use the local market or neighbours for seeds. That's a really good answer, actually, isn't it? Lee, we had a question in already from Les, and Louise has answered it in a pretty cool way, actually. Les is asking...
Because Louise is fantastic.
Yeah, there you go. In the US, she stood in for you there, mate. In the US, we have a plethora of plant, seed, and tree suppliers to order from online. What are some of the companies people order from in Portugal? Louise says go to the local market and ask the neighbours. What would you say?
Perfect answer. Yeah, the local market is always great. As I keep saying, always look in neighbours' gardens, look around you, look what the local parks are doing.
Yeah.
Because those people have been there for years. They know what grows well in your area.
Yeah.
But for specialist plants, because Portugal's still in the European Union, ordering from Holland or France or Spain or Germany is dead simple. And there's some great companies there that can do specialist plant, shrubs, seeds. It's all online. It's not difficult. And it's all still in English. So
there you go, Les. Nice. I think we've covered that. So let's go then, shall we? Anna's got a whole list of questions. I've got a diagram as well to share with you. We've got, look, a planting. One of the kids has done a planting scheme there with some great ideas in there. And I think that's a question that's going to come up because Mrs. M has been talking to Anna. So what have we got tonight, Anna?
I think I've got about 7 questions at least written down at the moment. So I've got one who's coming from, or two have come in from one person, but I shall go with one from Kerry, my aunt in Nipplepen. She heard that leaves can compost in an old plastic bag or just added to the compost heap. Some already goes back into the ground for the worms, and I think was just wondering what's best
for leaves. Or this is the leaves that fall from trees.
Leaf mold is the best compost, without doubt. So if you can separate it into a separate compost heap for itself, I like to, or in England, I like to use a wire cage. Just a dead simple wire hoop cage, and drop all your leaves in there separate from the rest of your compost. Or you can leave them in a thick compost bag, but remember to pierce a few holes in them.
Okay.
But they don't lock down as quickly as it does if you leave it in a wire cage or in its own compost bin. Keeping them separate is a great idea because then you can be more selective where you put it afterwards as well. It's a richer, better compost.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So one of those chicken wire circle is perfect for that, yeah?
Yeah, absolutely perfect. Just get a bit of chicken wire, make your own little circle out of it, and stamp your leaves in nice and tight. And maybe put a bit of a flag or a bit of weight on top just so they don't blow away in the wind.
Yeah.
And the compression also helps them to rot down quicker.
And a nice little habitat, right?
And yeah, well, you'll find in the spring as well, when you come to lift a cage off, the worms underneath your leaf compost are amazing.
Cool.
They're just second to none. Yeah.
So you can spread those little bad boys around the garden as well, and you've got a little worm farm as well as some most excellent compost there. That's great, Kerry. Thank you for that question.
You can keep that compost separate. You can use it then sparingly around the garden where you really need it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Great start. Great start to the questions there, Anna.
see, seeing what else we've got. Just thinking about whether to go to one from the group. We've got one from Geraldine. I'm not sure whereabouts in Portugal they're from, but I understand they are in the Portugal area. Just bought 7.5 acres. Really want to get to the good bits, the planting. Currently clearing, laying laying irrigation pipes, grass cutting, etc. It used to be a sheep farm. Any ideas for getting it, basically getting it all ready, and any recommendations for sit-on mowers?
Yeah, don't buy one.
Oh, why's that? Best to go to the shops on it.
They just come with trouble. They're just trouble. Sit-on lawnmowers are a nightmare to maintain.
Okay.
So my recommendation will be to spend as much as you can afford reasonably and get it with a maintenance agreement. So rather than going to Leroy Merlin and buying one off the shelf, go to a local dealership that deals with small agricultural vehicles and make sure you get at least I can't think what they call it here, a maintenance agreement for it. So you pay a little bit each month, but when it needs its regular annual greasing up, blade check, cables check, they do it all for you. Try and get somewhere good and local where you can get good communication going with them, because I guarantee you'll be using them a lot. People tend to use the ride-on lawnmowers for 6 months of the year, park them, then expect them to jump on them again in the spring and start again. And a mouse gets in there and chews up your electric cables, and they're just a nightmare.
Oh dear. Okay.
I'm speaking from experience, as you can tell.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, I'm sure. And
a lot of the ride-on machines, because they've got a PTO shaft, a shaft that moves the belts or moves any other attachments you put on them. They've got grease nipples everywhere on them, grease points. If you don't keep them greased, they fail, and it's just costly. So either buy cheap and be prepared to replace it every year, or go to the higher end and get a good lease agreement on it.
Okay, I'm sure I'm not the only person giggling a little bit about the mention of grease nipples. And I wonder if the annual greasing, does that apply to the driver as well, or is it just for the machinery?
My knees could do with the grease nipples putting in them. My knees are good.
Okay, going. All right, fantastic. Back to you, Anna. That's a great question. Thank you very much for answering it.
And just let me get the other bit in. With having such big acreage, with what we always go back to, prior preparation. If you're going to put a lot of fruiting trees in, make sure you think about which order you're going to put them in, and get the ones at the highest maintenance nearest to your waste dump, the ones with the lowest maintenance at the far end, where you can just leave things. Plan out where you're going to have your fire site. Leave space for getting in and about when you're spraying and treating the fruit trees as well. Don't put too close to each other at the start. Or you could talk for hours about 7 acres of fresh ground. Tell you what, if she wants to message me directly, we can have a conversation. Private conversation.
Good on you, Lee. Nice one. And Jason's another man who might have a word to say on that, because he sent in some. I don't think we did these, but he's got a great plot, hasn't he? And there he is. He's rotivated that all up. A bit of planting's gone on there. Isn't that lovely? And also his recent grape harvest as well. So there's a man who was tackling how many acres? He's got more than 7 there, I think, hasn't he? He's got a lovely big plot.
I think he's got about 15, but he was doing his cider making the other week. He's got his grapes in. He's got his potatoes in this week. So he's doing really well. He's loving it.
Lad, eh? What a lad. And John, did you have a question about that?
Just a small joke, really. I was just saying, what is Jason plotting? Because plots are that kind of very, very bad, really. But I guess while I'm here, I'll just remind the listeners and the viewers that we are talking about gardening mistakes this week, or gardening gaffes, and we were wondering if you would like to share any of yours. So if you do, please drop them in the comments, as the saying goes.
Gardening
But
gaffs.
anyway, I'll just hand back over to Anna now for another question or another few questions to find out what the questions are.
Good on you, John.
Let's see, I've got quite a few here. I will go with one from Louisa. I've got two actually from Louisa, but I will go with the first one, which is on snakes. I can't remember if I asked this one. How is it best to safely remove one from the garden? There's one that currently in the garden, but it's in the wrong habitats.
Can I answer that? Because I was the one who ended up moving it in the end. And I have a picture for you. I have a picture, everybody. There it is. It's massive. That's it compared to my hand. Look at the size of that thing. Terrifying. And I tell you what, even at that little size, when Mrs. M had a look at it with the broomstick or whatever and parted the leaves where it was hiding, the little guy or gal reared up and had a go. It was a feisty little thing, and in the end, it was freaking the dogs out, as you might imagine, because we live in an enclosed yard. So it was living down a drain and then popping up and having a sunbathe every now and then. The dogs were going mad, and I had to, for everybody's safety and peace of mind, had to move it from the garden. So upturned plastic box, as you can see there, like you do with the spiders, but just on a bigger scale, and then took it down to the field at the end of the road, and off it went into the undergrowth. It was a really happy ending there. But can you recognise that one, Lee? Looking at it there, ladder snake, is it?
I can't really tell from on my mobile, mate.
Yeah, but I mean, it was a lovely head on it. It had a really fearsome looking face, and a lovely, they all look like adders to me, vipers or whatever.
The one I come across most regular are the false horse whip snakes or something they're called. Yeah. And they're the same. They're only small, but when you get near them, they get super aggressive with you. But they are harmless. They just put the willies up if you're not prepared for it.
Yeah, too true.
Yeah.
You think they're going to leap at you and grab you on the neck or something, but that's just what they do, isn't it, I suppose? And us humans are kind of hardwired, aren't we, to be afraid of certain kinds of creatures. This one came in to the morning show. This one is borderline, because with your spiders and your snakes and your scorpions, I think humans have got an instinct to stay away from those things. This is the lizardy, gecko-y little creatures are kind of halfway in between. And this is the first salamander that Andy sent in from the Aveiro district. But isn't that a beautiful creature? No, absolutely lovely there. So
I do love the salamanders. They are a fantastic creature.
They're so exotic, aren't they? So exotic.
They feel like it, don't they? They feel exotic. They're really common. They're really common in Portugal, but they feel exotic. Yeah.
Yeah, so true.
I come across them a lot. When you're lifting flags or you're moving old wooden stumps, they're under there. And at first I was so excited when I found my first one, and now it's just another one. But I still like to take a picture and send it to the kids, though.
Yeah, absolutely. The processionary caterpillars, I'd made a video, Lee. I think it was before you joined us, but you're not happy about them either, right?
No, I hate the things.
Like these guys.
I've got two customers that have had real bad interactions with them. One of them, the dog lost all its bottom jaw.
What?
Because some kind soul had seen them in the street and stamped on the line. So they were already dead, but squishy, and the dog licked up the mess.
Oh.
And so it had to have its tongue, or part of its tongue and its bottom jaw removed. And so that's dead ones, dead dried up ones. So they're still dangerous after you kill them. And another customer, the child, this is a few years because the kid's a teenager now, but when the kid was I think he said 5 or 6 years old, he picked one off the tree when they were coming down and walked into the house with one and spent 2 days in hospital.
Oh dear, dear. Okay, so highly toxic. Keep away from them. Keep away from them.
Very dangerous. Yeah.
All right. So what's the correct way? Do you think we kill them with fire? Is that the way? Really,
burn
the way?
Burn them. Oh, hello, Natalia. I'm just on a call. I'm on a call. Okay.
Why is he shouting in our garden? So yes, amazing. So burn them up. Okay, the only thing for them. So before we take any more questions, Anna, just a couple more comments. But don't buy from Monsanto. What's a lovely little Portuguese village? What's the matter with you, Thunder? And Matty picks up on that. Thunder, you mean the company, not the mountain village in Portugal, right? I think that's probably what he means. We transferred a small peach tree. Oh, this one's for Lee, from a pot into the soil. We put in compost, a pipe in the ground for water, etc., etc. But now the temperature's gone up again to 30 degrees centigrade, and it's very sad. So it's wilting, says Eric. What to do?
Depending on the size of it, you can give it some artificial shade by moving. If you've got a pot plant available, move a pot plant in the way to give it a bit of artificial shade. You could increase your water a little bit, but it's not really going to help. It's it's not an Indian summer, because it was like this last year as well. So I think you just got to live and bear with it. Let it brown off a little bit and hope it bounces back afterwards.
Comes back. So it's almost inevitable then. The heat will affect.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. All right.
Yeah. If you can give it a little bit of shade by moving a pot plant in the way, or moving a bin or something to protect it from the worst of the daytime heat. But starting again might be a good idea.
Good plan. Okay. All right. There you go, Eric. Good luck with your small peach tree. Fiona and Simon are here. Look, Burnoit team have a question. We have some everlasting onions growing, which have suddenly died off. No, it's like something from the Bible or Lord of the Rings, isn't it? The everlasting onions, they died. And all at once, the people of the land knew that something terrible was about to happen. So I was wondering, do they grow back, or do you have to re-sow them? They're clearly, you've been missold everlasting onions if they've suddenly died off, Lee.
Yeah, if they've suddenly died off, again, it could be with the heat that we've had. Because it's been particularly warm for this time of year at the moment. But they're so cheap, and I know people that put them in all the time. That I know they're called everlasting onions, but I know people that replace them every year. So they're not that everlasting. You know, I think they've got a lifespan. Yeah. Maybe
it's because they repeat on you. A lot of people find that when they eat the onions, they're kind of everlasting, aren't they? Anna, back to you.
So I have a second one from Louisa. I've got, is there a way to convert a plastic bin into a compost bin? And if so, how?
Yes, there is. It's dead simple. It depends on how quickly you want it to compost. You can just cut the bottom off it completely. You can use that electronic hacksaw, a power hacksaw. Just cut the bottom off so the compost makes contact with the soil. And then it's just technically it's a compost bin. And you don't need to put any front door or anything like that, because you're going to compost in. And with a wheelie bin, you can just lift it straight off, or a round bin, you can just lift it straight off when you're ready. Or you can do like I like to do, get a circular saw blade, I can't think what they're called, for your hand drill, and drill several holes around the bottom of it, and then put wire in to stop anything from flowing out from those holes, and that works great. It allows the air in at the bottom of the bin.
Okay.
Which is what you want. You want air to circulate in the bottom quarter of the bin. So anything you can do to put some little holes in the bottom that allow air in, that won't get blocked up by the compost that it runs down. So it needs to be quite sufficient, quite sufficient holes. But yeah, there's loads of YouTube videos on it, on composting, through making your own compost bins out of plastic bins. There's loads of different methods, depending on what sort of bin you get.
All right, fantastic. Thank you for that, Mrs. M. And one for you, John, in the comments here, if you want to take this. Liking this, gardening gaffs and laughs.
Okay. So from Thunder Duck, the worst mistakes I made gardening were overwatering tomatoes and planting squash too close together. So, Thunder Duck, I was just wondering, what tips would you give to people to avoid that from happening if it's their first time planting any of those two product plants, I suppose you could say, because we eat tomatoes and squash, don't we? So I guess you could call them product plants, if that doesn't sound weird, which it probably does.
Produce, maybe.
Produce, yes, that's a better word.
Yes, there we go. And maybe that's why they call squash, John, because they squash together. But we need some specifics, Thunder, distances and intervals on watering there. And obviously, it relates to the climate that you were in. I wonder where you were doing that growing. Thank you for that, Thunder. Thank you, John. Our Ittle Pony is a great lawnmower, and you don't need fuel to run them. And they produce some nice byproducts as well, don't they, for the garden, of course, as well.
Yeah.
Very good.
Unfortunately, they also destroy your trees and your hedges and all your fruit, and they cost vet bills. You have to pay the vet to look after them. Yeah.
He's not a fan. He's not a fan, clearly.
There's a downside to everything, isn't there?
There is. Anna, back to you.
Let's see. I've got 3 so far. I had one from the group next, I think. This one is Zoe, and it's on lemons. Has a lemon tree, I think, from what I remember. It gets to a couple of inches, then dies. Has anyone had any luck growing from seed?
You've got to be very delicate when you're growing lemons from seed, and you've got to get the right type of lemon, apparently, here in Portugal. A lot of the fruit trees, like the lemon trees and the cherry trees, they're grafted onto a stronger rootstock. So they just survive much better. And so when you start from your own seed, it's a bit hit and miss. So rather than doing one, start multiple, and then select the best, strongest, the best ones from your multiple choice of seeds.
There you go.
Doesn't take much. It doesn't take up much space. You'll know within the first 2 years which ones are the best ones. So rather than starting one, start 12 or 24, depending on your tray, and go for it. And the ones that you don't use yourself, you can always give away and sell.
Of course, you can. Yeah.
So
perfect.
yeah, it doesn't take up a lot of room and not much more effort to look after. So
Thank you, Lee. Perfect. Only 8 minutes to go on the show tonight. It's currently hatching time for snakes and geckos, says Louise. Yeah, that's worth knowing, isn't it? So there's going to be a few more of them around. Maybe the same with the old processionaries. I don't know. I have a friend in the States, says Thunder, who grows giant pumpkins. He just had one weigh, what 1,511 pounds. Is that a typo or is that right? And another
that could be right.
That could be right. You could get inside that one, can't you? Has he carved it into like a little Wendy house, and that you can eat your way out from the inside? And another even larger that's going to be to a way off tomorrow. Pictures, yes, please. I can send you pictures. Yes, I thought Thunder was talking about pictures of of the overwatered tomatoes and the squash that were squashed together, but actually, it's probably of the great big pumpkins. And yes, we want to see the pictures of the pumpkins and have a man next to it for scale and not an action man. We're not going to fall for that. Grease nipples, happy endings. What kind of show is this tonight? I don't know. It's what you make it. Our neighbours planted some trees and bushes with many leaves 2 years ago, and the tarantulas, etc., love to sit below them and endanger their children. I am happy they don't live close. My goodness, it's Mexico that you're in, isn't it, Eric? So tarantulas. I mean, I've had a little snake to deal with. That's another league altogether. And it talk about pests, Anna. Didn't know you could plant spuds now. Is that just in Portugal for some earlies at Christmas? So spuds in the ground now for Christmas, Lee?
Yeah. Now's the time to do it. I did mine last week. I know. What's she called? Fiona Fee did hers last week as well.
Yeah.
You could possibly still get away with a cheeky crop in England as well if you were lucky.
Oh, okay.
But you'd be pushing your luck though. Yeah, you're pushing your luck.
Worth a try though. So Matty's asking Eric, is he glad he doesn't live close because of the children or the tarantulas? Healthy move Portugal, Matty. The tarantulas, scorpions, etc., love to sit below those bushes in the shade and chase the children when they move the leaves. Comical but dangerous. I am happy you found the real Jamaica plants code. We did. Thank you, Eric. That was you, wasn't it? Talking about Jamaica plants. So we managed to feature them in the group. My garden was in Sacramento, California 10 years ago. I just watered less and gave up on the squash. They took over the entire garden. Great growing conditions. Amazing. And pics have been sent, so I will find those. Any more questions from you, Anna? From other people?
I have one from my friend Kirsten. I keep forgetting if they're in Exeter or Timoth, but what is the window for planting bulbs? Was going to help a friend, but the weather intervened and lasted the duration of the session, their gardening session, I think.
It's the same in both countries here, in Portugal and back in England. Now is the time. They've just come on sale here in Portugal. I imagine they've been on sale in England for at least a month now. So tulips, daffodils, crocus. Crocus, you really want to get in as soon as possible because they come up first. So now is the time for your bulbs. Yeah, crack on with them.
Crack on with the bulbs.
Yeah, as soon as possible. Yeah.
All right, fantastic.
You can always get away and leave them till late. But I like to think the earlier they're in, the better they'll do.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Take it from a man who knows. Yeah, take it from a man who knows. That's why he's head gardener here on the Gardening Q&A every Monday evening, apart from the first Monday of the month. Head gardener Lee McGrady answering all the questions tonight. Any more, Anna?
I'm trying to keep up on the chat as well. The only other one I've got written down, I'll check the chat as well. This one is for Deborah Davies in the Portugal area. This is on willow.
Hiya, Deb.
Can it be bought in Portugal? Had a nightmare shipping it from the UK. Looking for black. I don't know how you pronounce it. Is it Mauland? Mauland, I think was the spelling for that one. Yeah, in the Sintra area.
There's none in the Sintra area. I've had a look for her. I know she had trouble getting through customs with the stuff she's bringing from England last week. The only place I can actually find is in Spain. So I'll pass that number on to Deb directly.
Terrific.
Yeah, I found a place in Spain the other day for it. After talking to her about a nightmare in UK travel.
So it's hard. It is hard to get willow in Portugal.
Well, she's looking for harvested willow already because she wants to use it for garden decorations. She makes fantastic. She makes fantastic art sculptures out of them. So anyone with a big enough garden looking for a big art sculpture in the garden, Deb's your girl. Yeah.
Okay. All right. There's a nice commission possibility there. Yeah, and we did talk to her on the show some while back, and it was a very interesting conversation. What a fascinating woman she is. All right, folks. We asked for the pictures, and here they are. £1,500 pumpkin, right? Who wants pumpkin pie tonight, tomorrow night, and for the rest of the year? Yikes! Look at that. That's a beast of a thing, isn't it? Not the child, the pumpkin. Oh my goodness! And a great big. Let me just take this banner off so you can see exactly what's going on here. There's a tape. It's actually exhausted the tape measure. As that's amazing thing. There it is being hauled. That's insane. Look at that. And there it is with the scale there. 1,511 pounds of pumpkin. What do you do with something like that, Lee? I know it's not a cookery show. What do people do with these things?
They are purely grown for competition. They just grow them to compete and see who can grow the biggest one. I imagine it's full of so many artificial drugs and all sorts of things. You wouldn't want to touch it. You wouldn't want to eat it. No.
Fantastic. Make quite a good paperweight. Nothing would blow away from underneath that, would it?
A lad I know in England used to feed his Guinness. He swore blind at Guinness, and the spills from the beer at the pub were the best feeds for pumpkins and squashes.
Oh, man.
Yeah, craziness.
Oh, Deb's here. Look, is that just the effect you have on the snake, Lee? No, it's universal. It's not just Lee. Not even that tape is long enough. We've got to go, folks. That's amazing. They have been so pumped with fertilizer, you would not want to eat it anyway. Absolutely right there, Lee.
I think we just had a question in from Peter just a little bit earlier as well.
All right, let's take that. Let's take that very quickly before we finish tonight. Go on, Anna.
It's just disappeared off the chat a second. Any tips on anything other than brassicas to plant for feed over the winter?
Well, we've just gone for the potato option. Depending where you are and what sort of protection you've got from the frosts, there's loads you can go at. I know my garden centre starting getting a lot of plugs in now of different things. I've not really looked at them yet. I've not had time. So leave that question till next week. I'll have a look in my garden centre and see what we've got on sale.
Yeah. Let's open up the batting with that next week.
And my recommendation to him would go and see what plugs are for sale in his area, because that'll be the best thing to go in the area he's in.
All right, there you go. Put a plug in it, Mr. Bleach, and we'll open up the batting next week with that. Thank you, everybody. What an amazing show. Thanks to you and your contributions and the wonderful head gardener, Mr. McGrady. And, of course, Anna and John with the gardening gaffs and laughs and best of the pests and worst of the pests from Anna. We'll keep that going next week. We'll see you then. Bye for now.
Good night.
Sing along. Ba 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 ba